Hi, I'm Marco, and today I want to discuss something that's very important to me, and here are the facts that helped me lose weight. Now, just a quick info about me. Back then, I was 240 pounds, then I started running. After 6 half marathons and 1 marathon, I reached my goal weight of 140 pounds. But then the pandemic happened. So, the lockdown left me with no choice but to stay at home, not being able to go to the gym. And then fortunately, I went back to 230 pounds. So now, I'm currently in the process of returning back to my goal weight. I'm trying to reach 140 again before I start bulking, but I decided to start this YouTube channel in order to help others since I already have the knowledge from my previous weight loss journey, and I want to share it with you as well. So if these kinds of topics are something that interests you and you know that will help you, please consider subscribing. It's going to be very important to me. So I would know if you would like me to keep doing this kind of content. So any kind of support is appreciated. So let's go. First one, you burn calories by doing nothing. So we call this as our basal metabolic rate or BMR. BMR is the calories we burn just by living. So this involves our blood circulation, cell production, muscle repair, those kind of things. So BMR is basically the things that we burn even when we're sitting down and everything else. So in fact, it's very important because it's 60 to 70% of the calories you burn daily. So that's why people say that if you want to lose weight, you can lose weight in the kitchen, because 60 to 70% of the day, that's actually big enough for you to lose weight. You can just eat your BMR and you'll be fine. You'll be still losing weight. So even if you don't work out, it will help you a lot because the BMR is already big. Second one, you can increase your BMR through resistance training. So when I say resistance training, this involves, lifting weights, going to the gym, so any muscle group. So the sole reason for this is that muscles are more metabolically active than fat. What I mean by this is when you have more muscles in your body, you burn more calories than when you have more fat. Okay, so even if you look at the BMR calculators where you can input your body fat percentage, the higher you put your fat percentage in, the lower BMR you get. So the lower fat percentage you have, your BMR actually rises up. So it's very important because many people tell you that if you want to lose weight, you do some cardio, you run on the treadmill. Even though it's helpful, we can talk about the benefits of cardio in another video. But since BMR is 60 to 70% of the calories you burn daily, it just makes sense that it's the one that you want to improve, right? So more muscles, more BMR, more calories you burn daily. That's why you see very many jacked male who can eat a lot and still have a very good physique, right? So that's because their BMR is extremely high and they just burn a lot just simply by living. Okay, for the next one, I think it's the third one already. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. So how can this help me lose weight, right? If you think about it, well, especially in my case as a Filipino, it's very hard to lose weight when you're trying to restrict on something. Well, I'm not talking about people with conditions like diabetes, okay? So I'm talking about just plain losing weight. Carbohydrates are very important. In fact, carbohydrates gives us glucose, which is the primary source of energy of our body. And you know what? Glucose is very essential that your body even makes it when you have less of it. So it's called gluconeogenesis. So it's the process of turning fats or proteins, amino acids, into glucose. So if you think about it, sugar isn't actually that bad. It has a lot of benefits as well. And we will talk about later about having a balanced diet. But I'm not actually saying that carbohydrates are better than other macronutrients. But what I'm just telling you is if it's very hard for you to sustain a diet, don't cut the carbohydrates because it also has lots of benefits in your body. Next one, if you want to lose weight, knowing your TDEE or your total daily energy expenditure is the more optimal way to know how much you should eat in a day. So the TDEE is your BMR plus your activity level. So, you can be just sitting around all day, you can be sedentary, and maybe you're working out, maybe you're working out heavily. So it's those things that you want to consider because you also burn calories on those types of things. So if you go on a treadmill, you do cardio a lot, you're a sports runner perhaps, or you're playing sports or weightlifting, you like lifting dumbbells, you do deadlifts. So it's something that you have to consider as well because it adds greatly to your calorie expenditure every day. Well, not as much as the BMR. As I said, the BMR holds the higher percentage, but your TDEE, your activity level, also gives a lot. So maybe you're a runner, you run 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers daily, and you just try to eat your BMR, like 1.5 or 1.8 calories a day. You might feel very tired. So it's gonna make you very exhausted and make your diet very unsustainable, which we'll talk about later on. There are TDEE calculators anyway, so if there are BMR calculators, there are also TDEE calculators. So you just have to put your activity level, whether you're someone working from home or traveling from time to time, you can just input it and then it will give you better results. So you can use it as an optimal measure in order to keep it on track with your MyFitnessPal or your Counting Calories app. Lastly, plan a diet that is sustainable for you. So you can actually do 3 things in order to ensure that you're doing a calorie deficit. The first one is the most popular one, calorie restriction. So when we say calorie restriction, it's reducing the amount of food intake you consume each day less than your TDEE. So it makes sure that you're eating less than the energy you need. So over time, those deficits will accumulate and you will lose weight. So it's simple as that. You're not restricting any kind of food. You're not restricting any amount of time. You're eating anything you want. Well, we can't talk about health here. We're just talking about calories. Health will come later when we discuss more about nutrients. But what I mean by calorie deficit is just making sure that you're eating less. You can do this by, downloading some food tracking apps like MyFitnessPal and a weighing scale. So you plan your meal, you weigh your food so that you keep in track with how much food you eat. And over time, you will definitely lose weight. Next, after the calorie restriction is the dietary restriction. So when I say dietary restriction, this involves cutting some macronutrient from your daily foods. The most famous one here is the keto, where you eat very little carbs, or I think it's just 20%. 20 grams. I'm not sure about it. Well, it's gonna be hard, but most people do it to keep their calories in check as well. But of course, it's not gonna be a sure thing because if you eat a lot of high-fat foods and you eat very plenty of it, you might still reach your caloric requirement for the day. Then you will not lose weight at all. It's very important that you have the discipline too. Now next, the last one is time restriction. So when we call about time restriction, this is like those people who eat only, one meal a day. The most famous one actually is the intermittent fasting. But as I said earlier, even when you're eating one meal a day, and if you eat a ton of it, then you're still not gonna lose weight. So that's why it's very popular to do number 1, which is the calorie restriction. But it all comes down to discipline. Because like what I always tell my friends, or of course I would tell you as well in this video, is that you have to plan a diet that's sustainable because you have to stick with it. It's gonna be hard, but if you stick with it, it will yield to results. So some people even combine 2 of the 3 that I mentioned. So they're doing the calorie restriction and they also eliminate carbs from their diet. So they're doing a dietary restriction. They combine it together, it helps them lose weight. So as long as it's sustainable, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. But if you can't stick with it, what's gonna happen is eventually you're gonna be miserable and you're gonna gain weight again because you're not seeing progress. So that's just it for today. I hope I've given you good advice that you can do when you start your weight loss journey. And I hope you keep on supporting this channel moving forward so I can produce more informative content for you all.